And good evening, everybody. The banner's still up because I'm not paying attention. There we go. Welcome to Talk Wrestling tonight, of course, on the JEFF MEACHAM NETWORK, but also on NoDQ.com's YouTube channel and the Greg Cherry brand. I am, of course, JEFF MEACHAM. Thank you all for tuning in. I know it's late for you East Coast kids. Aaron just got finished with his Raw recap, and what a Raw it was to recap. Holy moly! Let's not even mince words here. I mean, Big E. You saw it on the banner there. We have a new WWE champion. Congratulations to Big E. The second member of New Day to win the WWE Championship. And, of course, he becomes the Triple Crown Champion as well with the win, having been previously the Intercontinental Champion and, of course, a multi-time WWE Tag Team Champion. Of course, he cashed in Money in the Bank. Good for him. Also, former NXT Champion. So he gets that U.S. Championship. He's got the Triple Crown. So we're very happy for Big E. And here at the JEFF MEACHAM Network, we're going to cross our affiliates, No DQ and Great Cherry Brand. We love E, and of course, I know my son's happy he's back there in his sick bed, so he can get to watch tonight, but I'll definitely let him watch later. As I said, as you see here at the bottom, if you send in the super chat, you'll throw me off my game. So here we go. Ask me anything will be later, but who can you see dethroning Reigns now that Big E has won? I don't want it to be Brock, and no one is really in that position. That this is why you build new stars, damn it. Thank you, Walter, for the $5 super chat. 100% agree. I didn't think Big E was going to be the one to take Roman down, for the record. I didn't see that being a thing. So Big E going over to Monday Night Raw and cashing in on Lashley makes complete sense. 110% sense. If it's not 110%, it's not a thing. My dad always criticizes me for saying that. As far as Roman, if it's not Brock Lesnar, which is luckily going to take place over in the Middle East, which I hate that they're doing that still. But anyway, I would say at this stage of the game, if it's not Brock Lesnar, other than The Rock, being the big opponent, I don't know who can take Roman down. You make a very good point, Walter, when you say that you have to build new stars. That's the problem with WWE right now. Very much so. Very much so. So, all right. Thank you for the comment. I appreciate that very much. And for the super chat. Thank you. First of all, I need to shout out to my mother dearest for bringing home this shirt for me to wear on the show tonight. Mickey Mouse in Halloween form. Of course, I've been counting down my Visit Disneyland over on all my social media platforms. So, looking forward to that. Let's get into this thing. Let's, we were talking about Raw, so let's go ahead and talk briefly about it. Just a crazy, crazy night. Like I said, I gave it a B over on Aaron's poll only because the rest of the show, outside of the Lashley, Big E, Randy Orton dynamic, did not hit anything on point for me. Very much your average Monday Night Raw, which is pretty much just hot garbage. So I'm glad that they had the main event storyline and the title change to pick that show up. Hopefully that means bigger and better things to come on Monday nights, because Raw's hard to get through. This 3 hours is tough. And then having Aaron recap it is tough on Aaron because it's such an abysmal show. And then me going after Aaron, which granted I made that choice, is tough. It's a tough act to follow. And I love that Aaron gives me opportunity. So thank you for that, Aaron. Just not a good show other than the new champion. So we'll get rid of that right now. There you go. I also put a poll up on my social media, on my Twitter last week, and on my Facebook. I ended up having to, I think, delete the Facebook post for whatever reason. But over on Twitter, I asked you guys that watch Talk Wrestling, who of these 4 acts will be the next to sign with All Elite Wrestling? And overwhelmingly, you guys made your decision. I mean, there it is. And, numbers don't lie. You think the man formerly known as Bray Wyatt, Wyndham Rotunda, will be the next. I do need to point out, though, everybody in this room, except for Wyndham Rotunda, is now past their 90 days. So, it's going to be interesting to see if that plays out, because technically the first big show after Wyndham's 90 days ends is Full Gear, which is in November. So we'll see if that plays out. You guys made your choice. You think Bray's the next one to cross over that forbidden line, if you will. So we'll see how it plays out. Now, a lot of things went on in NXT this week that I was not counting on. It was not on my format during the course of the day when I was timing the show out. But a couple of big things happened over the weekend. First of all, you had Samoa Joe relinquish the NXT Championship due to what he said was a series of injuries. WWE deemed him unfit to perform. I kind of smell BS. I'm not going to lie. And I think I was right to do that because this morning we got the announcement that the Fatal 4-Way match scheduled for tomorrow night's NXT event, which will feature LA Knight, Tommaso Ciampa, Pete Dunne, and Kyle O'Reilly, that was supposed to determine the challenger for Samoa Joe, will now be for the vacated, relinquished, whatever you want to call it, NXT Championship. Just sucks for Joe. I mean, I know they're trying to, do the new NXT and, kind of do their own thing. And it sucks that Joe couldn't actually drop the title, like JJ says here, to LA Knight. That's our guy from way back. We are huge fans of Sean Ricker on this channel, on all of these channels I'm on right now, and the Costin's Studio as well. I didn't know if I was supposed to be on your channel, Jay, because you're not a wrestling channel primarily. So if I didn't choose you for tonight, let me know if I can do it next week, because I'll gladly have a platform. But yeah, LA Knight's got to win this match. He has to win this match tomorrow night. That's just he has to. He has to. No, he's not being screwed because he's old. He's being screwed because he is not the part of the new NXT. So, and in that vein of NXT, we found out about another contract that allegedly is up in the very near future, that being one of Johnny Gargano's. So here we've got, 4 talents here, and I have Candice in the shot because Candice announced that she is expecting a little Gargano. So these talents are going to be on the radar to have their contracts expire. Pete Dunne, Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, and now Johnny Gargano. 3 of these 4 people, of course, Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, and Johnny Gargano were the indie darlings that William Regal scouted primarily out here at Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, out here in California, to sign into WWE. So I am very interested to see if we do indeed get those talents leaving NXT coming up, or leaving WWE / NXT when their contracts are up. Johnny's apparently is up in December, and unlike from what the reports have said, unlike the contracts of Adam Cole and Pete Dunne, WWE was well aware of Johnny Gargano's contract becoming a thing coming up in December. So hopefully they will, if they don't re-sign him for what a lot of us feel he's worth, then I hope that he will find somewhere that will value his talents, and for the time that Candice is off doing the maternity thing, can provide a paycheck for a father. I mean, right? So there's that. But yeah, just a lot of crazy things going into tomorrow night, and we've got this main event championship match. A lot of people in the chat room are saying Kyle. A lot of people are saying Pete Dunne will win, so WWE will entice him to stay. I still say, of the 4 talents in this room, you've got, Tommaso Ciampa, who's been there, and Tommaso Ciampa, who has been a dominant, crazy NXT champion and an amazing champion. Pete Dunne has that, that NXT UK run that he had that was so dominant for so long until Walter came along and said, hold my ale. And, Kyle O'Reilly, who has been, kind of like plucking along here and really, in my opinion, does indeed deserve a run. But I got to go with my boy LA Knight. He's the man, and he's been the man in our eyes for a long time here on this channel. So I hope it's going to be LA Knight emerging from tomorrow night's show as your new NXT champion. All right. I'm going to take a quick ad break here real quick. Don't you dare go away, because got a lot more to talk about coming up in segment 2 regarding, believe it or not, Impact Wrestling with some breaking news. I was very surprised to see that myself, but it is a thing. So when we come back here on the Talk Wrestling, we'll talk about the news out of Impact Wrestling. We will be right back after this brief word from our dear buddies.
Take me down to the Paradise City where the grass is green and the girls are pretty. Oh, won't you please take me home? Welcome to the jungle. We got fun and games. one more time tonight. Knock, knock, knocking on heaven's door. Welcome to the jungle. Watch it bring you to your knees. Take me down to the paradise city where the grass is green and the girls are pretty. Oh, won't you please take me home? I wanna go. I wanna know. Oh, won't you please take me home, baby?
All right, and you can catch, of course, Genocide and Rachel Ryan from Paradise Kitty coming up this Thursday at 7 o'clock Eastern 4 Pacific, exclusively on the Jeff Meacham Network, as they go 2-on-1 with Jeff Meacham. Of course, that's just 1-on-1, but had to have Rachel on as well. So there we go. That's coming up on Thursday. And as I mentioned throughout the week last week, where the hell did that damn promo go? There it is. There'll be the Viper Room tomorrow night. Friday night. 9 o'clock is the doors. $15 right now for the tickets. At the door, it's $20 day of. Come out and see the girls, man. They're back, finally back at home at the Viper Room, the legendary Viper Room here in Hollywood. First show they've had since the pandemic started back in March of last year. Looking forward to seeing everybody come out for Paradise Kitty. All right, so I did mention before the break that there was some breaking news out of Impact Wrestling, and man, leave it to the knockouts to entice my attention as they had done for so many years. We had the Impact Hall of Famer herself, Gail Kim, along with a returning talent from the days of the knockouts, Christy Hemme, as they made a big announcement that this weekend, actually, they're going to be taping an event called Knockout Knockdown, which will air Saturday, October 9th on Impact Plus. The two things that came out of this announcement that really, really caught my eye, they announced that Mercedes Martinez will be part of the show, which I thought was super, super cool. So cool to see her coming on board Impact Wrestling. She's also going to be I think it's the following weekend. Yeah, the following weekend, she's actually challenging Deanna for the Knockouts Championship at an indie event out in New Jersey. So Mercedes Martinez going out of the frying pan right into the fat of the fire there, appearing for the Knockouts pay-per-view, and then challenging for the championship a week later. So cool for her. The main thing that was announced was a Knockouts Monsters Ball, which I thought was super cool because they're doing it in tribute to Daff, of course, who passed away a couple weeks ago. Terrible thing that happened with Daphne, but they're going to have a Monsters Ball knockouts match. You remember, Daphne to date is the only female that I know of that was actually in a Monsters Ball. So to have an entire group of knockouts in a Monsters Ball match, crazy. If you need after this show coming up, it's this weekend out in Tennessee, out at Skyway Studios. Get out there and make it happen, man. It's going to be a hell of a night for everybody involved in Impact Wrestling, the Knockouts division, and everything. And thank you, JJ, for reminding the people in the chat room what I said. I didn't put the banner back up, so I do apologize. So there you go. Anyway, yeah, again, so happy that Gail and Christy, Gail maybe nothing, but Christy, of course, was involved on the Zoom call. But this is very cool. I mean, I know that before we started talking about the WWE Women's Revolution, Evolution, whatever you want to call it, the Divas Revolution back then, the Knockouts were the talk of the wrestling world. They had such a stacked division. You had Gail, you had Kong, you had Taylor Wilde, you had the Beautiful People. You had everybody involved in that division that was so strong for so long. And Daphne was a part of that. So I'm glad they're paying tribute to Daph and that they're going to have these matches run this weekend, and the Monsters Ball will, of course, be in tribute to Daphne because, man, Daphne is again. It's in the chat. She was a one of a kind talent. She was a one of a kind person. If you ever knew Shannon, and I won't claim to know her like a best friend like some of the people that have come out and spoken the last couple of weeks, but I did get a chance to meet her on a couple of occasions and did get to interact with her quite a bit through the years over on social media. So very excited that Impact's going to be doing the tribute to her. I have a stare from across the hall here. Give me a second here. Yeah, I'd forgotten they were going to launch a missile from Vandenberg tonight, and a rocket rather. And my mom sent us both. I forgot to go look. So I'm on the air. I'm making the money. What are you going to do? But thank you, Dad. I appreciate that. So yeah, again, everybody saw how I took the news about Daphne, especially the last part of that week. I didn't sleep for 3 days. It was ugly. So I'm glad that we're getting able to move on and get some tributes out there for Daph. It's going to be super cool. I'm definitely looking forward to it when it airs on Impact Plus, because I'm a subscriber to Impact Plus. I think you should be too. But if you're going to be in the area, like I said, of the tapings, please get out there. It's this weekend out in Tennessee, in Nashville, off Dickerson Pike. And again, your tickets on ImpactWrestling.com. Or at ImpactWrestling.com, excuse me. So yeah, check them out. Gonna be a fun, hopefully a fun-filled night, and not too many tears for what we're gonna see. But yeah, other than Mercedes is signed, that's great. I think she's awesome. She's one of those rare talents that will shine anywhere if given the opportunity. It's just everything given the opportunity for whatever reason. I'm not trying to knock the E here, because Lord knows I have been guilty of that over the last 20 years, but they really didn't manage her very well. She was great in the Mae Young Classic. She was decent on NXT, but didn't really get past that point of like next level. So hopefully, being involved with Impact and challenging Deanna for the championship the week after the pay-per-view airs will be a monumental. Hopefully, they'll cover that on Impact's TV show over on Access TV. And I know we kind of, well, Aaron did, I didn't, ragged on Impact last week on the No DQ reviews. So I encourage you guys to give Impact another opportunity if you haven't in the last couple of years, because their in-ring work has just climbed back into a place of dominance, and not dominance, but awesomeness the last couple of years or so. So yeah, it's going to be a great thing to see Impact. And again, they still have the working relationship with AEW and with the NWA, which is, again, for a fan back in 2007, they had the NWA back working with Impact is weird. They work with, all these, this whole Forbidden Door thing at Tony Khan's kind of blown wide open has been very cool for a fan. So I'm looking forward to see how things play out in the next little while here as far as Impact and the NWA and AEW, which, again, we'll talk about more on the Greg Cherry Show this week, as you saw in the promo before the show. Or we'll talk about WWE and AEW, as well as the world of football coming up on the Greg Cherry Show. But that's Wednesday night. You saw the chat from Cutscene Studios earlier in the show. Let's take another quick break here, if we can, real quick here, and show you what's coming up in October for our friends over at the Cutscene Studios. spooky stuff in October. It's October, of course, it's spooky. I mean, everybody can't be all Mickey and all that, right? So, in that vein, coming up in October, I had it part of the original layout for today's show. I'm going back to SmackDown, baby. I am so excited that SmackDown is coming out to California again. At the Toyota Arena out in Ontario, the home, of course, of our the Kings minor league affiliate, the Ontario Reign. That'll be Friday night, October 15th, live on Fox, of course, because SmackDown's on Fox. And there you see it, all exclusive on-site coverage of SmackDown. I won't be there all day like I was last time SmackDown was at the Toyota Arena because I have a kid who's in school. I got to make sure he's to school and out to his mother's before I go to SmackDown. So I will be there pretty much at door time, depending on traffic here, because as you know, traffic in California sucks, especially here in Southern California. It sucks. So we'll see how it all plays out. But I'm looking forward to going back to SmackDown. It actually is because of my brother. My younger brother, who has not been to a show in a very long time. The last show I actually was at was SmackDown, the very first SmackDown on Fox 2 years ago. I think it's the right around the same time of October. So it's been 2 full years, other than SummerSlam, that I've been to a WWE televised show. So it's going to be fun to be part of that SmackDown crowd. We've all talked about it on this channel, all 3 channels you're watching right now, as well as the Cussing Studios. SmackDown's the hot hand. They are the A show, and they have been pretty much since Roman Reigns became the tribal chief, the head of the table, the Universal Champion. So it'll be cool to be in that environment. However, with Big E winning the championship tonight, it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out the next month before I get to Ontario and we get to SmackDown and see what brands are doing what. Because, if SmackDown's, if Raw remains a hot topic, I mean, it's going to be very cool to see how SmackDown responds to this, as far as how WWE had like our competition. But I'm interested to see how the SmackDown team responds to Big E crossing back over to Monday Night Raw because remember, he won the briefcase as a member of the SmackDown roster. He's been on SmackDown since the last draft. So it's gonna be. I'm looking forward to Friday. I'm looking forward to tomorrow with again with this NXT thing. With the way they got the championship match laid out now for the Fatal 4-Way. WWE's actually got my attention this entire week. I'm looking forward to it. I did get a message while I was running that commercial. I do want to. I'm going to wear it tomorrow in the sports bar. But if you're in California, vote in that recall election, please. However you decide. I'm not going to sway your. I'm not political sway guy, but at least vote, please, God. Make a decision one way or the other. Don't sit there and ignore it. Oh, it doesn't affect me. If you're in California, it affects you guys. I'm telling you. And if you got any sort of election thing, I know elections kind of go, kind of over the place. But if you're involved in this election, please make your voice heard. Make your opinion, make your choice known, because it's so important. This state has been such a shit show since the pandemic started, and it's not going to get any better without help from the voters, help from everybody involved in government. So there you go. All right. It is that time, ladies and gentlemen. It is that time for Ask Beach Anything. That's right. Your favorite segment and mine. You guys have been waiting patiently. First of all, JJ makes a very good point. You have no right to complain if you don't cast your vote. I say that about reality television. I say it about voting in the elections. I do. If you didn't vote, you have no right to bitch. So there you go. Thank you, Jay, for reinforcing my statement. All right. We're going all the way back to 5:14 this morning. And I appreciate the chat, Chris. So thank you very much. Will AEW be forced to do some sort of brand split? There are 4 titles to chase and a roster bursting at the seams. What is the bloated roster chasing for exactly? TV time? Okay, so I've talked about this quite a bit. I don't know if I've talked about it so much on the air with the No DQ review or any sort of. I may have mentioned the Greg Cherry Show last week even. There are 4 distinct shows that AEW produces. They have their, for lack of a better term, their A show, which is Dynamite. It's been running for 2 years now on Wednesday nights, every Wednesday night on TNT. They have Rampage, which is their, for lack of a better term again, secondary show. And then they have the two YouTube shows, AEW Dark Elevation and AEW Dark, on Mondays and Tuesdays, respectively. That roster is ginormous. No doubt about it. But I was going to save, I am going to save a lot of this for my State of AEW review, which is coming up the Monday after Full Gear on this show. I have a graphic somewhere, but I don't have it loaded, so I'm not going to take a look at it right now. You got to figure, there's 2 hours on Wednesday, an hour on Friday, 1 to 2 hours on Monday, and 1 to 2 hours on Tuesday. There's plenty of space on broadcast shows for the entire roster. The mid-card talents can chase Miro. The main event talents can chase Kenny. The tags can chase the tag champions. The women can chase Britt. And yeah, you're going to have guys that are going to just kind of fall in the cracks. That is a byproduct of a big roster. Look at WWE in 2002, 2003, 2004. Look at WCW in 2099. Just too many cooks in that ever shrinking kitchen. But AEW has the outlets to spread itself not so thin, but rather spread the talent around. And they also have the working agreements with the NWA and Impact, where they can have some of their talents on their shows and vice versa. So they're not in trouble yet. A follow up there, he says, AEW risk having to brand split with such a bloated roster with a few titles to compete for. You basically said what I said, fix the kitchen. So, Marshall, I'm doing well. Thank you. Appreciate that. Psychojet Black says, if you showed up at AEW, what would be your theme song? Ooh. I always stick with what worked, which was either the instrumental of Magdalene by Paradise Kitty's lead singer's Jenna's initial band, Rue. I also like our old Extreme Mayhem song from back in the day, The Zoo by the Scorpions. The instrumental on that song kicks ass. So either one of those two would be my choice. VJ says, hey, Jeff. Hello, sir. Matt Helms, my name's on the marquee and you're spelling it wrong. You're killing me, Matt, but hi. I appreciate it. Daniel says, what if Freddy Krueger was the voice of Michael Myers' head that told him to kill? Just a thought. Wouldn't be surprising to me, but it's not Freddy. It's the Curse of Thorn, but it's not. But it is. But it depends what movie you watch, right? Hello, Calvin. Good to see you here, sir. Marshall says, who do you think AEW should have dethrone Kenny Omega? Right now, I still say Hangman Page has got to be that guy. He's got to be the one to end that reign. Has to be the guy. They've made us wait for it for so long, right? It's crazy. Psychojet Black says, can't wait to see Nikki versus Tamina Botchamania. Oh, yeah, it's happening. It's a thing. Walter says, how long can they hide how green or, quote, bad Omos is? Because seriously, AJ is just smoking mirrors for him at this point. Omos is just height, and that's it. I think they're still training him. I think they're still working with him at the PC, and they're still working with him. Working alongside AJ Styles is never a bad thing. To work alongside one of the greatest of the modern era. So give him a chance. He'll get there. Psychojet Black says, is it true that Brock Lesnar almost ran you and a friend over in a parking lot? I don't recall that happening. No. I've never been. The closest I've been to Brock Lesnar was sitting in the suite at Staples Center in December 2014 when he faced John Cena. Don't recall him being any closer than that. If I'm wrong, if I'm remembering wrong, somebody can please remind me, or Aaron, if you watch this tomorrow or whatever. Just interesting. Let's see what we got here. Marshall says, did you ever try to get involved in the wrestling capacity of the business, or have you always been on the wrestling podcasting part of the business? Thanks for everything you do for us fans. Well, thank you, Marshall. Actually, back in 2007, right after I started doing talk wrestling for Aaron, and of course now doing it for me, I got quasi-involved in the performance side. I ended up working with a promoter out here, company called Epic Pro Wrestling War, whatever you want to call it. Did some ringside managing stuff, a la Paul Heyman, Bobby Heenan, whatever you want to call it. I also got into the creative side. I helped co-promote a women's wrestling company for a little while. That kind of fell by the wayside due to some poor decision making. With it, I'm 100% on my part. I did a color commentary on the show once. That was the first ever paycheck I got from wrestling, was doing color commentary, play-by-play for a company that ended up moving to Vegas not too long after that. I refereed a couple times. I actually refereed a hardcore, like a death match style match. That was interesting. And even before all that, in 2003, when XW had the last shows, I was involved briefly. Confederate Currency Chris Hammock, Confederate Currency Chris Hamrick gave me a super kick when I was sitting ringside at the March 1st, 2003 XPW show. We were going to work something into it later when they came back to LA, and then they folded. So it just kind of didn't work out. But yeah, I've been involved off and on pretty much my entire podcasting career. Thank you for the question. I appreciate that. Well, I also like the open door, which is why I said Bray, when Rotunda can sign with Impact on the review last week, because he will still see him on AEW. There you go. Wouldn't surprise me. Psycho Jet Black says, my thoughts on the Mummy movies feature Brendan Fraser. Well, we did run the trailer for JJ and Renegade's reviews showing the classic movies with the monsters. And I did talk about this with JJ on a show. He got me the initial 6-metal starter kit here, if you will, and one of those is the original Mummy movie with Boris Karloff. I like the movies with Brendan Fraser. The first one's great. The second one's pretty good, but again, without the second one, you don't have The Rock becoming a co-star on that movie, and subsequently, becoming the guy he is now. So interesting how it would play out. But I like them. I enjoy them. They're not my favorites. My favorite classic, either classic or remake of the classic monsters is definitely my favorite of the classic monsters is actually the Invisible Man, which is on that set, which I'm happy to see. Remake wise, I mean, they've all been pretty cruddy. I'm not gonna lie. So I think of those 6, the Brendan Fraser Mummy definitely hits the mark better than the rest of them. And Wolfman's just effing awful. How long will Big E be WWE champion, do you think? Caleb says. Goodness. People were talking in the chat room that Brock may just show up and just F5E to oblivion soon. It wouldn't surprise me. I mean, Brock ended Kofi's reign within whatever it was, 4, 5, 6 seconds. So don't be surprised if it happens. Marshall says, do you think wrestling can keep the boom period going and hit numbers similar to WCW versus WWR with AEW in 2021? Well, this isn't a boom period for the business at all. This is a terrible, as money, financial wise and profit wise, WWE's through the roof. Virtue talks about this all the time on the review and in chats. WWE's making money hand over fist right now. Their stocks are through the roof. But creatively, WWE is hurting right now. And AEW is, in my opinion, my show, AEW is doing better creatively, mostly. SmackDown's still a great show, though. So I don't think we're in a boom period yet as far as creatively, but I do think that we definitely are. Things are looking up. Especially, I mean, tonight, like I said at the end of Aaron's show, we have a lot to talk about, and it's only Monday. I mean, it's for you guys in the East Coast. It's already Tuesday, so I appreciate you staying up late with me. But yeah, it's interesting. I'm looking forward to NXT, looking forward to Dynamite and SmackDown, and yes, Impact Wrestling for you haters. There you go. Gary says, I think AEW would certainly benefit with the brand split. Khan is really a smart businessman. I'm sure we'll see changes coming soon. Yeah, people tend to hate on Tony prematurely because he's a fan and he's a fanboy or whatever. AEW would be all right. And yes, it was 8 seconds. Thank you, Taylor, for the record. I appreciate the offer, Reporter Radio, but I am doing great. I've got a co-host on Tuesday. Actually, he's the host. Staffway Mike's the host of Staffway Sports Bar on Tuesdays. I co-host Greg Show on Wednesdays. I've got JJ doing Dads. I am boiling over with brimming over with co-hosts. But thank you. I appreciate the offer, sir or man. WWE question: do you think Nick Khan is helping or hindering the product? He's a fall guy, and I'm gonna leave it there. He's what do you call it? I forget the term. He's it's gonna come to me later. Anyway, he's a scapegoat. There we go. There's what I was looking for. Thank you. Daniel says my favorite classic monster movie is Wolfman. Same with Costume Studios. JJ, that's his favorite of all time. He loves the Lon Chaney Wolfman. Absolutely. Walter says, if you were in charge of the draft, who are you reshuffling? To me, Jeff Hardy is SmackDown is my priority. We'll talk more about the draft on the review this week, and I'm sure we'll talk about it more as we we go along here. I think you meant I was just trolling you back. It was funny. Do I have any crazy Karen stories? No, I've been very lucky in the time that I was in retail. Didn't have a whole lot of those. People I know that work in retail now have not been so lucky. Like the gentleman who helped me out with the answer here. Thank you, Jay. It's the Karens of the world are tough. They really are. It's unfortunate they exist, but just kind of is what it is. We do have one more plug that I want to throw out there before we wrap things up tonight. I know we're about 40 in here, which is kind of where I was going for, about 40 or 45. So when we come back from this break, we'll talk about what's to come here the rest of the week, and we will wrap things up right here on Talk Wrestling. For now, here's what's coming up at the end of October.
Morning. Sorry to bother you so early on a Saturday. Are you, John Tate?
I am. Is everything okay?
Are you familiar with Joanne Harrison?
She's a friend and a colleague of mine. Why, is something wrong?
Well, Mr. Tate, her body was found inside her home last night, completely cut up. You wouldn't have to know anything about that, would you?
Michael Myers didn't die in 78 because 22 years ago tonight, he found her. But if he has returned, and if we don't do something soon, the people in this town are going to be in real danger.
After all this time, you're still alive. That ends tonight.
There you go. That's going to be something. Looking forward to having Braden back on the day before, actually. As far as the schedule now is to have him back on the day before. We haven't nailed it down yet, but we'll see how things play out. All right. Again, I thank you guys for watching tonight. Very, very nice of you to drop in tonight. Coming up the rest of the week, tomorrow is, of course, Stat Boy Sports Bar. We're back on the air live every Tuesday night. Well, we're in week 2. Yeah, wrong movie, Jet. But anyway, full NFL coverage. We're talking about week 1 recap and predictions challenge results with Greg Cherry. And week 2, the challenger will be none other than KJ Williams, Costume Studios. So check that out tomorrow night. Wednesday, of course, we're back with the Greg Cherry Show at 7 o'clock Eastern 4 Pacific on my channel and Greg's channel. We'll talk about NFL, college football, WWE, AEW, weird loss in Arizona, and, of course, Wednesday Q&A. That's, again, Wednesday night at 7 o'clock. Thursday night, 7 o'clock Eastern. Again, the ladies from Paradise Kitty, Genocide and Rachel Ryan, 2-on-1 with Jeff Meacham. Looking forward to it as they prepare to head back to the Viper Room the following night. But before we get to the Viper Room, yes, the dads, not always on wrestling, will be back on the air with our top 10 musical moments in non-musical films. I cannot wait for you guys to see that episode. It was a lot of fun to do. I enjoyed it in spite of myself, because that was one of those topics, again, that JJ suggested that I just was not thought I wasn't prepared for. It turned out I was completely prepared for it. I had so much fun. And, of course, you can catch me and my brother and a lot of others down at the Viper Room Friday night, this coming Friday night at the Viper Room with Paradise Kitty as part of Music Unites, a benefit with Heavy Velvet and so much more. That's all this week. Again, yes, I'm very excited for Halloween Kills. Looking forward to it. We're going to have a panel coming up on Halloween Day on this channel for sure. as far as the Jeff Meacham Network and maybe on the other channels as well. We'll see how things go. Again, thank you all so very much for sticking with me late. I know it's late, and I'm looking forward for you guys to seeing it, Jay. I really am. It's going to be a fun time. I had a great time talking to the girls. I miss them greatly. I cannot wait for Friday night to see them in person. I do. I miss Paradise Kitty. I miss everybody terribly. I miss seeing everybody. I'm glad I get to go do my thing with my girls. So, on that note, I am Jeff Meacham. This has been Talk Wrestling. We'll see you tomorrow on the Sapway Sports Bar. And there you go. It's going to be on your channel as well. There you go. Halloween panel. Very good, sir. Yes. All right, guys. That's it for me. Have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow on Sapway Sports Bar. And tomorrow night, after NXT, of course, full recap and review from Aaron Rift himself. Until then, have a great night, everybody.